Welcome to this month's Subnation Fireside Chat. This month, we have the pleasure of old friend of mine and industry pundit, leading map maker, cartographer, Evan Shapiro joining us to talk about the metaverse. I'm very sorry for the delay in terms of starting today. Infrastructure is acting up, having some problems with connectivity here in New York City. And needless to say, sometimes the metaverse, despite our moving to Web3, which we'll talk about in a little bit, doesn't really work. So, it's a very exciting time in the metaverse. We're going to be diving into what is the metaverse, recent deals and announcements that have been done, the perspective that we at Subnation have on this emerging space, and most importantly, Evan is going to be taking you through the recent Omniverse that he has structured with Subnation to where we're mapping the future. So with that, I'd like to share, as we always do, a little preview into the metaverse. Enjoy. And we're back. Can't say it's the metaverse, but we're back from that wonderful video. I hope everybody enjoyed it. As I mentioned on the opening here, I'm joined by a friend and former classmate at Cherry Hill East High School, Evan Shapiro. Evan is a professor at Fordham and New York University, has traveled through the world of media. He's a documentary filmmaker. I come to learn a comic book producer, and hopefully he'll tell us a little bit about that project. But most importantly, Evan, to start with, is going to be taking us through his gaming omniverse map. So, Evan, welcome to the monthly Subnation Roundtable Fireside Chat Edition. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Go Cougars. That's not our mascot, but just thought I'd say that.
So give us a little background on this mapping project. My understanding is it all started with your media maps, which have become all the rage on LinkedIn and in the industry. People are using them as backdrops for Zooms. You're constantly changing that based on the jockeying that's happening out there in the marketplace with acquisitions and mergers. I was fascinated by that map, so much so that we approached you on the gaming side, but we'd love to, before we dive into the map, understand how you got into cartography and really, how this has all evolved for you.
Yeah, so it all started when I started teaching at NYU, and each year in my the business of media and entertainment class, I strive to start the class with a big picture of the industry and where it's heading. And Recode actually would put out these interesting looks at who owns everything in media. And they'd have a very small subsection of the media universe on it. And so I would always add on it and add on it and add on it. And then this culminated last summer where I started from scratch, created my own map of the media universe, including everybody who I thought was, really battling in the war for attention. And then Deadline published that, and it went a little, it blew up a little bit. And I've since kept updating it, updating it. And I think it helps people kind of frame the conversations around what's happening in their own sector because they can see themselves relative to the larger companies. One of the big ahas that I was trying to impart in that map is how much gravity are centered in the what I call trillion-dollar Death Stars: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and Amazon, and Tencent to a certain extent. How much of the universe is oxygen those companies take up? That's true in gaming and esports as especially so. We could talk about that in a second, but that was what I was really trying to impart. Is we talk about Netflix and we talk about Activision and we talk about EA, but when you back out and you look at how much Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple especially, and Microsoft especially touch all aspects of media, but especially gaming, it's that was the biggest takeaway I was trying to impart, and I think the map did that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an incredible view. For those of you that have not seen it, I encourage you to go to Evan's LinkedIn page, and there's several links on there. But of course, that then led us, Evan, to really taking a deep dive down the gaming rabbit hole, if you will, starting to see where the crossover is there. And, you did a phenomenal job, I have to say, kind of breaking apart that world in this new decentralized order. So it would be helpful if maybe we brought the map up, shared it with our viewers, and you could take everybody through the thinking around it, the different sectors, if you will, that were created, and maybe touch on what you found there. And, we'll start to go deeper down that rabbit hole for some of the companies that are listed.
Sure. Matt, if you can bring up that map, that'd be great. Cool. So when you look at the map, the sections look, different companies like Amazon and Apple and Microsoft, they touch different aspects of the ecosystem. So it's difficult to break them into hard lines. What we try to do here is put them in their individual regions by focus within the metaverse. And so when you back up from this and you see, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, all on this map of the Omniverse. We call it the Omniverse because it's several metaverses connected. You have to start by thinking, as important as those companies are in social media and in digital media and in entertainment and in video and in search, so too will they be that important in the metaverse within the gaming ecosystem. And so when you look at the lifestyle section, which is the red section at the middle of the map, and you see Facebook and Amazon and Google there, one of the big reasons for that is they are touching all of the gaming ecosystem every day by conversations that are being had and products that are being sold. Most particularly, though, Amazon is the ESPN. They own Twitch. So they are the CNN and ESPN combined of the metaverse. They are the broadcaster of the metaverse. They are 73% of all of the streaming about gaming that happens, about streaming about the metaverse that happens on Twitch. The next biggest competitor is YouTube, which lives at Google. And Google YouTube Gaming is a substantial enterprise as well. And then when you move down into the developed zone, and you see Apple there, there's another major giant, as we like to call them, a trillion-dollar Death Star that will touch all of the gaming ecosystem through the App Store. And so, when you look at these different regions, this agrees with a piece that you and I wrote last week on the metaverse and how the giants in the metaverse are going to be influencing how it's shaped, what the rules are, how the economies work. So the developed zone is really around app makers and game makers, but also their relationship to how they distribute their apps and their games, and frankly, the massive power and gravity that Apple has inside that zone. Last year, in 2020, Apple generated $72 billion just from the App Store, and 62% of that was gaming. And the tax that Apple charges just in the gaming ecosphere is around, just their take was around $12 or $13 billion last year. Fortnite, who's one of the great metaverse builders out there right now, generates a substantial amount of that revenue for them. the economic rules are very similar in Google Play. So when you go back to the lifestyle zone and you look at Google, it's not just gaming content on YouTube, but they are also touching every game that gets sold in mobile. When you zoom back out and you look around, there's another major giant in the platform zone. And when you look at what the platform zone is comprised of, which is the yellow or orange section in the lower right-hand corner, you can see there that both Sony and Microsoft, really these dominant players, the giants of the console business. Microsoft is also building out infrastructure that will support the entire metaverse as well. So cloud infrastructure in a way that touches a lot of the map here. But also the way that they're moving from a console business into a cloud-based subscription business is very indicative of where the entire ecosystem will go. So another, and I think Sony will follow suit in that area. So watching the platform zone grow and evolve over time will be super interesting. And then to use the vernacular that you and I used in our piece last week on the metaverse, a lot of the rest of this map is built around unicorns, major gaming enterprises who are lighting this sector on fire, and who are really building the earliest neighborhoods in the metaverse. I think Fortnite is a really good example of that. They're in the mobile zone. I'm sorry, they're not in the mobile zone. Well, they are. I'm sorry, I apologize. Up in the upper right-hand corner, the yellow mobile zone, where you have another giant company, Tencent, who owns 40% of Epic, the owner of Fortnite, and a lot of other gaming, one of the biggest gaming companies on earth. Epic in this section is really one of those great unicorns to keep an eye on, who's building the rules around the metaverse as we speak. Right now, there are 350 million users on Fortnite, and $5 billion worth of materials being sold in Fortnite. The rules that are being written there by the users of Fortnite are really going to become the rules of the metaverse. And so it's really interesting to see that unicorn, backed by a giant company like Tencent in that zone, take on Apple, who's a giant in the developed zone in the lower left-hand corner, over one of the major sets of rules in the metaverse, which is the tax that will be paid on goods and services sold in the metaverse. Fortnite's sole revenue stream is in-app sales, or one of their biggest is in-app sales, and in-app advertising too. If Apple is charging a tax on that forevermore, well, that's a factor of the economy that has to be figured out, and it's being figured out in court in real time and by regulators right now. So that'll be a major battle between a unicorn and a giant in the ecosphere to look at. When you go to Roblox, who's in the purple left-hand middle corner or side of the map there in the creator econo zone, you see in them a unicorn that embodies what I think is going to be one of the major moves and major themes of the metaverse, which is the creator economy. And this is not just a buzzword. Roblox will pay game makers this year $500 million in fees to create games for that space. They are teaching, and if you look at the age of the Roblox users, very young. They are the future of gaming and the future of the metaverse. The first patrons of the metaverse, if you will. They're learning the rules of the economy there in the creator economy Y Combinator industrial complex that is Roblox. Around the ring there in the creator econo zone, like Dapper, who's in the NFT business, the way that NFTs will rewrite art and collectibles through blockchain, but through really creator economy points of view, like Dapper really embraces, and really Roblox does as well. The currency there is a blockchain-based currency. That you're going to watch citizens of the metaverse learn how to behave in the metaverse, and learn how to write the rules for decentralization in real time in unicorns like Fortnite, unicorns like Roblox, and a mini or a semi-unicorn which lives inside Microsoft called Minecraft. And then if you zoom way out from this, you see a lot of really great pixies who are really going to effect is not the right word, but we wanted to portray the importance of these new industrialists, these new inventors of the metaverse. So if you go to Decentral Zone in the upper left-hand corner and look at Genies, who's basically inventing fashion for the metaverse. So they build avatars for you that'll be able to transverse all these different ecosystems. So you'll be able to wear the same clothing and look and feel and cool sunglasses across all the neighborhoods of the metaverse. But they are creating the true product of the metaverse, which is a Gucci outfit you can buy in the store and have the real product, and then get the NFT for your avatar in the metaverse at the same time. That meeting, that collision of art and commerce between two different spheres, not augmented reality, not virtual reality, but extended reality, where the physical and the digital meet. That's what Snow Crash envisioned when Stephenson invented the phrase the metaverse. That's what Ready Player One meant in that book when it talked about not being able to tell the difference between reality and Oasis. It's not that that reality becomes looking like the game. It's that the game becomes an extension of our own reality, where our physical products and our physical beings have manifestations across these different ecosystems. And if you zoom further back out and you look at this map, it's the generation who populates this metaverse right now. This is the early days. Fortnite, Tencent, Minecraft, Overwatch. These are the earliest, newest neighborhoods, the Williamsburgs and the Silver Lakes before they became hot, right? The places, the Austin, before everybody started to move there for the tax reasons. And right now, all the cool people are getting together there because they're all young, and this is where they're, I wouldn't say living, but this is where they're spending their time. Facebook mentioned the word metaverse 20 times during their last earnings call. They're spending $5 billion a year on the metaverse right now. If you don't think Facebook sees itself as a part of the metaverse and the metaverse as the next stage of Facebook, then you're not reading their earnings reports correctly. And there's a big reason for that. Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, all these other deeply immersive online experiences and games, they are social media for a tremendous section of Generation Z. They're social media with gaming and entertainment. They're social media with commerce in a way that Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram were all hoping to get to someday. That's all happening in the metaverse. It's just not as accessible today as Facebook and Instagram. It's not on every single phone, but it will be. Increasingly, your phone will be your gateway to the metaverse, as it is currently for its population, Generation Z. And the biggest thing you need to learn about Generation Z inside the metaverse is, like in real life, they are not like any generation that's come before. They will not follow the same rules that are currently building Web3. These centralized, monolithic, trillion-dollar companies controlling everything inside walled gardens. That is not their vision of the metaverse. That is not a metaverse. A decentralized, transferable, transversable. I can go from realm to realm without having to pay a toll. My currency in Roblox means the same thing as it does in Fortnite, as it does on Amazon. That kind of connectivity and decentralization at Decentraland, which is in the Decentral Zone, the users are the creators and they are also the owners. And land is being sold there at a very top dollar right now. That's a very good visualization of how the metaverse will take shape. And so whether you're a human being or a company or an organization, you should be thinking about how you kind of unify your current mosaic or empty lot in the metaverse with where you are in the physical world and the social media world today. And if you think it's too soon to do that, you're not looking at the billions and trillions of dollars that is being moved around the metaverse at this time.
Okay, so let's take a step back for a second, because we just I think we just what was it, Einstein's theory of relativity? I think just unpacked the theory of the metaverse on a blackboard in 20 minutes. So which is amazing. But we threw a lot of information out there to those that are in the metaverse listening right now. And I think it's important for us to take maybe half a step here and frame this out a little bit more. So, where we are today, obviously, is the culmination of Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 leading to Web 3, as people are calling it. When you think about Web 1, right, Web 1 was very much built off of ARPANET, for those of us that want to go back in time, which was the Advanced Research Projects Agency's network. It's the network that connected the United States in the event of a nuclear war, which is the internet. It was available through PCs. A lot of it was direct, if you will, lines of code being communicated through chat rooms like the Well. It was very limited in terms of what could be viewed, and it was centralized, right? And really, it gave birth to e-commerce, as we know e-commerce to be, relative to the first, let's say, boom of the internet, which then wound up in a bubble bursting, right? And that bubble burst in 2009, in 2000, 2001. And, when we came out of that, we really kind of shifted it into a Web 2.0 phase, which was, accelerated by mobile. It was, I think it was getting a little.
Sorry. My bad.
Getting a little feedback. But then I think it was Tim Berners-Lee who said Web 2.0 was a read-write environment. I would say that Web 2.0 became a little bit more corporatized relative to Facebook and FANG, as they're referred to, the Amazons and the Netscape, not the Netscape, excuse me, the Netflixes now and the Googles. It was really, as we're seeing, m-commerce and social commerce, mobile commerce, and now we're moving to Web 3, which is the metaverse, right? And as you said, it's decentralized. It is live and persistent. It's hardware agnostic. It's interconnected. And it's this combination of physical and digital. So, I think you would agree, Evan.
Well, it will
the
be.
metaverse,
It will be. It will be interconnected. Today, it's not, and that's where it's headed.
Agreed. And there's a lot of, if you will, pipe that needs to be laid and bridges that need to be built, because we have walled gardens or walled worlds, as you referred to. And for those out there listening, AOL is an example of that, where everything was inside of AOL, which came off of that wonderful disk that Leon system that team had pushed out back in the day. And as you can see, we're having our nice fireside chat. Evan, I promise you fire, and I always do keep my promises in terms of what we commit to here at Subnation. But so the evolution of the web and the installed base, accessibility, high-speed access, not so much here during this talk, video, audio, social media, all that stuff coming together now gives us the tools and the ability to create these new experiences that, as you eloquently said, brands need to be paying attention to, because it is an economy. I think that we would agree that at the heart of what we're talking about right now is the new economic model.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to make sure we're on the same page. So let's talk for a second about the components, not the characteristics per se, but some of the components here of this market. Because as you said, from Facebook announcing a $5 billion investment, Silicon Valley companies, and venture capitalists like Andreessen Horowitz investing, millions of dollars into the pixies, as we're referring to them. And even this week, Visa buying CryptoPunk for $150,000. It's a little bit back to Web 1.0 and Alan Greenspan speaking about irrational exuberance. There's a little bit of this craze going on, but I think it's important for people to understand what really is around this ecosystem. So first off, we have the gateways discussed, right? There's centralized gateways and decentralized gateways. And you referenced Roblox and Fortnite, which are centralized, as well as Decentraland and Wiggleboxes, I believe it is the Sandbox, which is part of their ecosystem they're building. Those are decentralized. So maybe we can touch briefly on the environment of both central and decentral.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I actually think Roblox is a little more decentralized than, let's say, an ecosystem like Xbox, because it happens in real. It is a personalized experience that is happening concurrently all over the planet on several different devices. Sometimes through the App Store, sometimes not through the App Store. But you're right. It is more centralized than I think the ultimate metaverse will be. And what that really means is right now Roblox takes only one currency, Robux, and that currency is only worth something inside Roblox. When you buy something inside Roblox, it basically puts you in that ecosystem. It is a walled garden. Being able to take that material or that currency to another realm within the metaverse and traverse to, let's say, Decentraland, and be able to exchange it there for what Decentraland's currency is, which is mana, and buy property in Decentraland, and then take that same Robux and buy a cool new outfit from Genies that I can wear wherever I go, including in Fortnite when I want to go see a concert of Lil Nas X or something like that. That becomes more decentralized, especially when I can trade Robux for mana through a centralized wallet that no one controls through smart contracts in the blockchain. That is when it becomes even a greater extension of decentralization. It goes a step further when you can translate your V-Bucks from Fortnite into a brand new realm in the metaverse, that you can actually earn enough money making games in Roblox or selling products in Decentraland that you can, do a Richard Branson and buy your own island somewhere out and make that in your own image in the metaverse. And all of these things become interconnected. The problem right now is that whether it's Google or Facebook or Apple or Microsoft, so much of the gatewaying is centralized within a very small collection of corporate structures, that there's going to be a push and pull against those two movements to decentralize it, sure, to build an economy around the creator economy and around the owner economy versus one. And it's the same thing that happens in real life too. We built a middle class in the 1950s by letting people build their own shit. It's kind of where we're at now. We had the information wars of Web 2.0. Facebook destroyed democracy. We're in the apocalypse on the other side of it, and we're here ready to build a true middle class. But you have to give the working class of the metaverse the ability to own their own real estate, or true generational wealth can't be created. That's one of the great opportunities of the crypto economy and the creator economy, is that you don't need an agent to sell a game. You don't necessarily have to be from blue blood parents to get into the right clubs.
Okay, so I'm going to reel us back 1 second here. So we talked about the land, right? So we've got centralized and decentralized, and you're 100% correct. We're going to see Facebook yet again go on an acquisition spree and acquire and or build the building blocks of what's needed against this economy, as we're calling it, right? From there, right, we then need something to represent our identity. We talked a little bit about an avatar. We mentioned Genies out there. There's Zepeto. I think it was this morning, Zepeto announced a deal with Ralph Lauren in terms of them using Ralph Lauren using Zepeto avatars within the environment that they're going to create, whether it's RL land, which wouldn't surprise me if they're going to go try and build their own land, or whether they're going to set up a shop like Gucci did, the Gucci Garden in Roblox, or both, right? So, like being here in New York, if you're Ralph Lauren, you're on Madison Avenue, and you're also in the West Village, right? You want to set yourself up in different neighborhoods based on who your audience is. And the avatar, to your point on the central and decentralized point that you made on Robux, similarly, the avatar that represents me, my little Minecraft guy that's made out of blocks, right, or my genie, who is directly my persona and I design, that can't move between platform either. There's no way to move your character, which really is you, relative to in what we like to call an intelligent avatar, because like AI, it really starts to build knowledge of who you are and what you like and what you need. That is unable to move right now in this promise of a decentralized environment, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. When you go back and read Ready Player One, that book is talking about a completely centralized mechanism. A government runs this oasis, right? But at the same time, Percival can go anywhere he wants within the metaverse. So to find the first Easter egg, he goes back to War Games, the movie. And he takes the same look and feel of his avatar, goes with him, and then he reenacts War Games, and that unhatches the first Easter egg in the Ready Player One hunt. In today's metaverse, none of that would be able to happen. Would be able to happen. You can't leave Fortnite and go search for the movie War Games anywhere, but you should be. You should be able to access while you're in Fortnite. I mean, look, the average Fortnite session is like 4 or 5 hours long. It's not all gameplay. It's a lot of sitting around chatting, to be honest with you. It's a social media platform almost more than it is anything else. To be able to quickly turn, like, I know this sounds weird out here in the world. Well, even if we were wearing a wearable, to be able to turn and just say, give me from War Games. But you can do that. I can get a clip of War Games into this Fireside chat right now, which has fake fire and no table, by the way, because you called it a roundtable discussion too, and there's no table. But in Fortnite, where I'm living on the internet, I can't access a clip from War Games. That level of centralization, the fact that Fortnite is locked down to a place where a Warner Brothers movie can't invade it, or a Sony movie can't invade it, even just for references purposes during a conversation, like that is going to go away. Those walls will be removed, and your genie's character or your Nike outfit, your Nike kit. I was on the phone with somebody from a soccer team in Europe, a former Premier League team who has been relegated. I'm sorry. And we talked about building a whole universe for the team, because right now, first of all, it's precarious whether live games are actually going to be a thing all the time. But secondarily, being able to buy, and this is not who I was talking to, but being able to buy a PSG kit in the metaverse and show up at the World Cup, virtually watching in the stands the real game happening with my pals from all over the world, and having the same jersey at home. That's how we're going to be able to traverse the world, the ecosystem, with goods and services on a moving forward basis. And I know I keep opening it up and you keep pulling it back, but you have to look at it. You have to look at it as limitless. If you don't look at it as limitless, you're going to see the limits, and then you're going to think it's silly. And if you think it's silly, you're going to miss $1 trillion in commerce in the next 10 years.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And yes, you have to think of it as limitless. However, there are restrictions on it currently, and you've got to work within those restrictions, which is why, based on work that we're doing with brands right now in the space, right, it's a crawl, walk, run scenario, right? So how do you crawl, similar to what Gucci's done inside of Roblox, similar to what Chance the Rapper and Viacom did with showing last summer the relaunch of Punk'd, or Chris Nolan with Warner had several films that screened inside of Fortnite, or obviously most recently Ariana Grande's concert, right? You've got there's means in which to launch these experiences and to enter the metaverse with then a path forward into a limitless open environment. And I think that, that's super critical because like everything else, and, you went down that political path, so like the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, or however much that is, right? There's an infrastructure build that's going on right now where picks and axes, not the kind you find in Minecraft and Fortnite, but picks and axes are really building out the pipes that are necessary to allow for this free access that's going to move across that to where, to your point, that kit that I buy, right, that European football club is selling me, I'm going to be able to wear that in FIFA. I'm also going to be able to sport that in Minecraft, or I'm going to be able to invite people to my apartment in the Atari hotels that's built out in the Central End and watch the game on my virtual Vizio TV, right? So all of that is coming. There's no question about it. And for those of you that are out there, right, let's be very clear. It is coming, right? If you take nothing out of this today, other than what Evan said earlier, that the average session in Fortnite is 4 hours. The average session in Roblox is probably very similar, right? They are the new network. They are NBC, they are ABC, they are CBS, right? I years ago talked about the end of TV as we know it. Networks are dead. The idea of network is like the idea of a television, right? Farnsworth basically, developed television. Right now, it's a monitor in my living room that just connects me to the world. So, let's not get caught up in nomenclature. The simple fact of the matter is that more content will be coming through these gaming platforms that are connected to a bigger world that is creator-driven, that is entertainment, is social, that is gamified, that is commerce, that is all of the activities that Gen Z, and I think called Gen A now, if I'm not mistaken, it's the next generation people are talking about, are engaging in content through these platforms. So, with that said,
100%.
if you're okay with that said, Evan, if you're okay with it for 1 second, I do want to go to our first poll question, right? Which I think is now the right time. That poll question, if we could bring that up.
Cool.
Do you think the metaverse is A, overhyped, B, the future of the internet, or C, something in between? So, Evan, before we bring up our answer on that, do you think the metaverse is overhyped, the future of the internet, which I think we both agree it is, or something in between?
I think it's something in between. I think it's completely misunderstood, and therefore it is both overhyped. What was the other choice?
The future of the internet.
Yeah, so I mean, it is the next iteration of the internet. Whether we wind up calling it the metaverse or not when it actually comes to fruition, but there is a very easy world to see where you're moving from Facebook to Fortnite to Roblox to Decentraland, and it's all flowing through one device. That is the metaverse, and if that seems too broad a definition of it for you, that's my version of it. But I think it's misunderstood exactly what it means. But it is literally it could be what the turns into.
Right. So look, I think next time I have to consult with you because we probably should have had a D, which is all of the above. That's always what I circled when we were at Cherry Hill East when I didn't know the answer. But let's go to the results and kind of see what the pollsters picked here. And it's pretty amazing to me. Yes, it is overhyped. It is something in between. And what we've come to find is that it is the future of the internet. So, at this point, we definitely got a combination of, as you can see, 80% felt that it was the future of the internet. Evan.
There you go. Maybe I helped sell it a little.
So with that said, if we can go back to kind of breaking this space down for a second, you brought up the kit, let's move from the avatar. So I have a physical representation of me, right? It lives out there. It could look like me. It could look like an animal. It could be a CryptoPunk. I mean, obviously, bored yacht apes, penguins, high kitties, I think they're called, or stone kitties, kitty stones. That recently launched. There's this whole NFT avatar craze, which now becomes my persona. Jay-Z bought a CryptoPunk for, I believe, over $2 million that he felt looked like him. And I would have to say the hair did very much look like him, although the bling was a little off. So once I have the avatar, I need to go out and buy clothes, right? So there's going back to our pixies, giants, and unicorns, there's a pixie out there called Artifact.
Yeah, right.
We know Steven and those guys very well. They've really become the couture fashion of the metaverse. During these first
they've also kind of really cut into a very heavy other area that I think is going to be huge in the metaverse, but just in digital as well. And this is really kind of, I think, the first true iteration of digital art, digital collectibles. Artifact makes sneakers, absolutely, but they are collectible, I think, almost more than anything. They're an NFT-based business. So, I think that for looking at them in particular, the fact that they continue to transact on their work over time in a way that is very different from the physical product speaks to why, for artists and creators and publishers of content and intellectual property, the next iteration is going to protect your rights more, because the smart contract changes your relationship to the content you create in a way. And by the way, this is true for user-generated content on YouTube and Facebook. Currently Facebook and YouTube are extraordinarily built on free art from users, right? The content the users provide, they get nothing in exchange. Well, they monetize, but not in the same way that the platforms do. Now, in the new smart contract blockchain world, as a creator of content, you're going to be able to extract greater value from your content over time, the more popular it becomes, and have greater control over your privacy and over your image and your likeness on the internet in a way that could never happen before. That's another advent of decentralization that I think is an opportunity, and I think that's why the metaverse will be embraced by content creators and publishers more so than anybody. I mean, look, the NBA made a fortune on that LeBron dunk, and Jack Dorsey sold his first tweet. The Major League Baseball has a home run derby in Minecraft. So you have a wonderful way to exploit your intellectual property and control greater rights on it, and privacy as well.
So I mean, I'm glad you brought up IP, because at the fundamental, the foundation of a lot of what's going on is that IP, and that's what we're seeing unlocked. Natalie Bonin, who's a music composer, producer, and a violinist, I might add, who's listening, sent us a question. First off, she said, "This is fascinating." Not sure whether she's talking about our conversation or your maps, but I'll assume both. Curious on how you see music in all of this. Anything as we composers and music producers can contribute in this metaverse. And what I would say, and Evan, I'd love your thoughts on this as well. First off, the rise of NFTs and the metaverse combined is a tremendous playground for music, for music composers, for IP owners. It allows you to manage your music, your lyrics, manage your rights, if you will, from a publishing and master's perspective. And some very interesting companies out there, one of which is United Masters, Steve Stout's initiative that's going on, in terms of how he is partnering with the artist on that. Number two is the open sourcing, if you will, of music for game developers, for metaverse creators, in terms of the experiences that are being built. And again, once you put your music out there and it's securitized with, as Evan talked about earlier, on the blockchain with that smart contract, you can know who's using it and you can know how many people are listening to it. And then there's residuals that can be paid back based on what's written into that smart contract, ensuring that you're getting paid your percentage based on what's been agreed upon every time that music, that beat, that lyric, that element, that asset is being used by a third party or listened to by the consumer. And then lastly, we firmly believe, and we're working on a very big project right now in the music space, we firmly believe that the metaverse is the new studio, and that musicians will be coming together in a cooperative manner, similar to what Evan was talking about in terms of the creator economy, and composition is going to take place just as it would at a studio here in Manhattan or in a music room at Juilliard or any other university or school around the country, for musicians to openly collaborate. So music.
To me, if you look at the next $1 trillion company, I think it's NVIDIA. And in fact, their product Omniverse is what was the inspiration of the name of the map itself that we created for me. And that's a game collaboration tool, but it's totally open source and online collaboration, creator economy collaboration. I 100% agree. I also think the publishing, to your point, the game publishing world is going to need music almost more so than any other form of entertainment. Because again, there's a lot of running around and you need that, I'm going to do Mario. But I think there, beyond that, there is the chance for live performance. The idea that you can meet up in the metaverse, and I know this seems far-fetched that you're going to maybe as a singer-songwriter go and play a concert on Fortnite, but Decentraland has unbelievable blossoming forums for entertainment. And I do think there's going to be wonderful communities built around discovering music and discovering artists in the metaverse that's going to be particular to music itself. Music is such a huge part of the entertainment lifestyle, right? It's a whole sector. Spotify now has, I think, 200 million subscribers. And so, to not see Spotify have a realm in the metaverse where new artists can be discovered, or to see a virtual version of South by Southwest or Austin City Limits, I think you're going to see that really blossom, especially in the next 5 to 10 years. And then to Doug's point, I think when you create music, if you can have a tactile, physical IRL version of your song to match with a digital version of it that you can sell as an NFT in varying stages of rarity, for fans who have deeper passions, I think you're going to wind up finding out there's substantially more ways to monetize the popularity of your music, regardless of how big your audience is on the metaverse, than there is today for artists.
Yep. Look, I agree with you 1,000%. We're coming close to the end of the hour, and I know we started a little late. So, I'm hoping in Metaverse land, people will stick with us for a little bit here. We do have another question from Evan Beach. Evan is the regional sales rep at, I want to say it's Signode or Synode. You never know when people concatenate words, but the question here is, where is the best place for gamers to learn about NFTs and the metaverse? Education is key. Well, Evan, first off, we agree that education is the cornerstone of civilization.
Yes.
And with that, we at Subnation are continuing to push kind of education and thought leadership. So we will be launching, first off, a new newsletter called Well Versed. So please look for that. You can go to our subnation.gg, our site, and that should be launching probably in the next few days, number one. Number two, there are a number of resources out there to learn about NFTs. I would set up a Google alert with a couple words: metaverse, NFTs, avatars. So as news is coming out with companies that are doing things you're reading, because there's nothing better than real news coming through the internet that you can learn about all this. We are also working on a deep dive white paper, as well as a 101 around the metaverse and NFTs to help people and guide them through this new digital world that we're living in. And then, of course, you can always attend events like South by Southwest, which, by the way, we are currently part of their panel. I love when I hear myself talk. But we're part of the panel picker, so please go to South by Southwest website and vote for our panel. It is on the Gaming Omniverse, conversation between Evan and I, similar to today, but much deeper dive down at South by with the time that we'll have. And then lastly, I just strongly recommend that you get into the platforms. On the NFT side, go to Super Rare, go to OpenSea, go to Nifty Gateway, go to Notables, which is new, go to Autograph on the sports side. We mentioned Decentraland, and just navigate your way through. Some of them require you to open up an account. I will say it's not the easiest thing to do to get a MetaMask wallet set up. It's not as hard as your taxes, but it's please do and set it up. And then just go through and see what's out there. That's really the best way to learn is get on the bike and ride it.
Well, and I would say there's if you want to set up an alert for Metaverse, there'll be an article pretty much every day for the next year written about it. And stay tuned because it's going to change on a daily, monthly, yearly basis.
And to that point on articles, I will say, that there are a number of journalists out there that are covering the space very well. Evan has been touching on the space extremely well. And then there's Kathy Hackle over at Forbes, who does a weekly metaverse article that I strongly recommend for everybody who's looking to learn more. So coming back around here on our poll questions, our second poll question we put out there on LinkedIn was, do you feel like you understand the concept of the metaverse? And it was a surprise to me, and maybe LinkedIn, because of what LinkedIn represents in terms of the business community and probably more of an early adopter from a tech standpoint, it was a little bit of a surprise to me to see what our results were. However, I will say that we hope you understand the metaverse more coming off of this panel today. And with everything that we threw at you, we didn't confuse you with buzzword bingo more than you actually took away in terms of what we imparted. But with that said, our results for that were 71% of people polled felt like they understand the concept of the metaverse. So 7 out of every 10 people, I won't say on the streets of New York because, again, it depends on the neighborhood I'm in. What?
When was this poll taken? Before or after this panel?
The poll was taken last week.
So it's probably up to like 90% now after this panel.
I hope so. Maybe we'll put out another poll. I'll add a new question that says, are you more confused after listening to Doug and Evan about what the metaverse is? But look, I mean, we're here to educate. I don't know that I've asked you yet, Evan, but I think we're going to be launching a metaverse podcast, which we're calling Metacast. And I think I'd like to invite you to co-host that with me if you're open to it. So we can just have regular banter on the metaverse on a daily basis.
I would love to. My mother always said I had a face for podcasts.
That's what Jewish mothers do. They like to tell us that we have faces for audio.
This was before podcasts, so she was both mean and visionary.
Okay, so with that, Evan, we're at 5 minutes after 3. People's schedules are extremely tight, although it looks like we've got a really good audience who's sticking with us. Is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners, viewers, fellow metaversers with as we kind of wrap up this first true Subnation Fireside chat?
Sure. I highly recommend going back and reading Snow Crash, which is the book that invented the phrase the metaverse and really introduced avatar, the idea of an avatar, to the popular culture. Not necessarily because it predicted what is happening today, but A, it's a really good read, but B, the phrase snow crash means a couple of different things, but in the book, it's a virus that allows for mind control. And I think what we've allowed Web 2.0 is to become just a big petri dish for snow crash, for a virus of mind control, where we can live within our own bubbles peacefully and kind of reinforce our own biases and live in silos that kind of are forced upon us by the current construction of the internet. But if you put down your phone for a second and you look at the slate black that's there when there's nothing on the screen, and imagine an ocean on the other side of it that is just full of water and organisms looking to organize around a principle, that's really currently where Facebook floats in the metaverse. That's where Snapchat floats in the metaverse. It is one big ocean of interesting stuff happening that is not yet connected. The connection of it is where the next version of it is coming from. That's what happens when meta really truly takes shape. So think limit without limits when you think about where you're building here. Think about how you want to have a personality and a brand and a business that spans all of these various silos. And truly speaks with one voice to all the consumers that you want to try to reach, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for consistency of voice across all these ecosystems. They're looking for relationships long-term with organizations, brands, and other individuals who are ready to span the true expanse of the metaverse. I know that seems super buzzwordy and very kumbaya, but at the same time, where we are today is not where we're headed. And you have to kind of free yourself from today's lock-ins, that, as Jaron Lanier would put it, and look towards a new realm of the internet that's going to allow you to really act more freely, but at the same time, curate your own future more accurately.
Well, very well said, Evan. What I would say is, one, for those of you that don't know who Jaron Lanier is, he coined the term virtual reality and built the first connected headset. And I would strongly recommend you look him up. He is a visionary in his own right. Two, I would recommend another book called Other Land by Tad Williams. So those of you that are looking for end of summer reading or fall reading, please go pick that up. Or William Gibson's Neuromancer, another book that will give you more insight into what's happening out there in the metaverse. And with that, I would like to thank everybody for joining us today across LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and any other social platform that we're out there on the internet, soon to be on the metaverse. Please, again, go to the South by South website, panel picker, and search for Evan Shapiro and or Doug Scott, but I do think it's under Evan, and you'll pull up our panel and vote for us to be presenting down in Austin, because it's very important for us to continue to impart the knowledge. And I'd like to thank my new co-host to our Metacast, to be named. So if anybody has any thoughts on names, please go to either of our LinkedIns and send us some name thoughts. And the winning name, if comes from our collective community out there, will win a prize yet to be determined.
I like
Evan and I will talk about that.
I like Metacast.
Yeah, Metacast kind of means, it kind of sounds to me like, I met a cast of characters, or maybe it's right. I don't even know. But that's the marketing guy in me. I'm always looking for more before I decide. But look, it's super exciting what's happening out there. I feel lucky to be living in a time where the market is moving as fast as it is, and new companies are being created, new economies are being built, new business models are being tested, and the old media is constantly under fire. And if they don't get out of their own way, as we've seen with the rise of the iPod, and we saw with Netflix and television, they too will go the way of the dodo bird. So, big business will fall as models are shifted back to the empowerment of the consumer. And the time is now for all of you out there who are starting businesses, getting involved in digital tech. Go after it. Love what you do what you love. Don't take no for an answer. If you have a belief and a passion, right? Keep driving until you find yes or hear yes, and prove that model, right? Really, it's a creator's economy, as Evan said. So with that, I'd like to thank you all. Evan, thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to more of this discussion with you, and we'll see everybody next month on the Subnation Esports Roundtable. Bye.